I was sitting at my desk with a half-dead pen, flipping through reefer maintenance reports from Savannah, when the golden boy walked in like he owned the building. Name's Ron Hale. I'm 58, gray creeping past my ears, 30 years deep in freight contracts. I live in Augusta, Georgia, but I've got phone numbers memorized from Maine to Arizona. My title says Senior Contract Renewal Specialist. But the real job? I'm the guy you call when your tomato load's sweating out in Texas and the backup reefer ain't kicked on. I've kept thousands of units rolling with duct tape, favors, and a notebook I guard, like it's holding nuclear codes. Gerald Lang, North Star's founder, trusted me. Old school guy, kept diesel prices in his head and a flask in his drawer. Never missed payroll, not once in 20 years. He'd lean into my office, tap the whiteboard, and say, "Ron, how bad is it?" We'd solve it over burnt coffee and a handshake. Then he retired. Ranch in Mendocino, couple cows, solar panels, whole deal. The day he left, I shook his hand, told him to keep the number. He winked and said, "My boy's got fresh ideas." Enter Chase Lang, 33, tan like he's never worked a dock. Hair so perfect I swear it's shellacked. Day 1, he replaces the coffee machine with a cold brew tap. Day 2, he boots the night shift janitors and brags about lean ops. Day 3, he brings in this woman, Tessa, with no last name, who calls herself a brand or a director. I ask what she does. She says, elevates our energy. Right. Couple weeks later, Chase swings by my office, eyes the stack of manifests, and says, "Ron, all this paper, bad optics. We need cloud by Q2. I tell him I'm up to my neck in a longshore strike trying to keep pharma loads from spoiling at Port of Savannah. He laughs like I'm telling war stories nobody cares about. Tells me to reimagine my workflow. Then came the email. Mandatory celebration of visionary leadership. Saturday night, Lang Estate. Same Saturday I've got a customs window on a shipment of temperature-sensitive insulin that can't wait. Monica, my wife, says skipping it would be career suicide. Her mother chimes in, loud as always, about how men who don't network don't provide. I take another look at that email. I RSVP no. Didn't even hesitate. I've kept this company's arteries unclogged for decades. And if Golden Boy thinks he's going to replace blood with branding, we're headed for a stroke. End scene 1 ends with action. Scene 2 begins Monday morning. Monday morning, I parked in the same cracked spot I've used since '97. Badge beeped green at the door. Coffee in one hand, I sat down. Opened my laptop, and my password failed. Tried again. Nothing. Third time, it locked me out. 9:12, exactly. Chase walks in like he's presenting at a damn TED Talk. Tessa floats in behind him, all breathy smiles and iPad tapping, flanked by 2 guys in Navy sport coats trying to look casual with earpieces in. "Ron," Chase says, all fake sad. "We've reassessed cultural alignment and—" I held up a hand. "Save it," he smirked, tossed out the word culture fit like he was dropping change in a vending machine. Tessa handed me a form with boxes to check about feelings of closure. I slid it back across the desk without touching it. I stood up, took the frame photo of Duke, my old beagle, gone 5 winters now, and dropped my badge on top of my keyboard. Chase waited for fireworks. He got nothing. "Gentlemen," I said, nodding at the security guys. "Walk me out, or we good?" They stepped aside. I walked down the hall with my head up, past faces pretending to look busy. Tessa called something about an exit survey. I didn't even glance back. In the truck, parked under a burnt-out street lamp behind the building, I opened my personal Gmail. Not flashy, just ronhale.portlane@gmail.com. That address has gotten reefers plugged in at midnight, got port managers out of bed during typhoons. It's the address the real people, dock bosses, union dispatchers, fuel brokers, have for when shit gets serious. I drafted one line. Effective immediately, I am no longer an authorized signatory for North Star Freight. Per clause 9C, key personnel continuity. All services may pause pending vetting of successor authority. Sent it to Atlantic Eastern carriers first. Then Port of Savannah terminals. Houston Tank Farm Brokers, Newark Cold Storage, Fuel Card Services, one by one. Send, send, send. Like popping bubble wrap, if every pop leaked out $1,000 in a shipment delay. That inbox has never felt so damn satisfying. Phone rang. Red Alvarez, coastal stevedores, voice like he chews gravel for breakfast. "You out?" "Yeah, Red, I'm out," he grunted. Then I'm pulling my guys. I ain't putting containers on no maybe signed bill of lading. Call me when they get a grown-up in charge. I nodded, even though he couldn't see. Smart. Damn right it is. Click. Right then, Monica texted. Todd says you pulled a stunt. Everyone's talking. You embarrassed the family. I stared at it. Put the phone face down in the passenger seat. Before we go on, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I got on Route 47 and headed west. Windows down, wind in my teeth. Pulled into this old truck stop diner with a crooked sign that used to say Lisa's Place, but now just says S.A.'s Ace. Table's sticky, coffee's burnt, Wi-Fi's slow. Perfect. I ordered a pot and spread out my yellow notepad. No company badge anymore, but I didn't need it to move freight. I jotted down every name I'd built real ties with. Owners, reps, middlemen, dispatchers. Circled the ones who'd jump if I gave the signal. Checked the North Star vendor portal on my phone. Still locked out. That was their mistake. The ones who keep the gears turning don't need dashboards. We have muscle memory. I kept hitting send. By 9:40, I'd sent notices to every terminal, card provider, dock lead, and broker that mattered. Each one a little fuse. My hands didn't shake, not once. By 10, 3 emails bounced back from automated systems saying, temporary hold initiated on services. I smiled. That's not a stunt. That's the sound of a machine stalling. Let them try and power it back up without the wrench that held it together. By mid-morning, I pulled up the public asset tracker on my phone, same tool drivers use to double-check assignments. I watched it glitch. First dot froze outside Joliet, then another up north of Macon. One more blinking red near Bayonne. Those were North Star tractors, parked, stalled, no gate clearance. Those gate codes, I updated them every Monday like clockwork. But they lived in a logbook in my drawer, not in the cloud, not on some app. And nobody in that building thought to ask where they went. The calls started stacking fast. Newark broker first. Ron, we got reefer units in limbo. Who's the sign-off now? Not me, I said. Clause 9C, services paused till they vet a replacement. Savannah terminal manager was next. These manifests ain't scanning, Ron. We got exports missing customs slots. Clause 9C, I told him, calm as could be. No continuity, no movement. Then a fuel card supervisor from Kenton panicked. I've got 10 fill-ups locked mid-route. What's going on? Tell Chase to authorize a new signatory, I said, or call legal. I didn't raise my voice, didn't need to. Then my phone lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months. Tessa, the Aura director, breathless like she'd just run a mile in heels. Ron, hi, I need your 2-factor codes, like, right now. Trucks are timing out and Chase says, you're asking me to break federal data regs, I cut in. I'm no longer staff. I touched that system. I'm liable. There was a pause, then a click. Chase came on, voice cold. You're not untouchable, Ron. We will sue. Use the IT override, I told him. The one that costs $700 an hour and takes a full day to process. Should have budgeted for it. I hung up before he could fake another threat. Jacksonville Perishables started gnawing at me. That load had insulin, shrimp, and 5 pallets of swordfish headed for Vegas casinos. I texted Dockyard Pete at Riverbend Cold. Plug reefers into shore power. Use my old contingency account. He texted back. We'll save the fillets, Ron, but those tractors don't move till you say. Standing by. That's loyalty, not branding, not lattes with foam art. Men who work the asphalt know who keeps the doors shut and the cold air moving. Red called me next, voice scratchy like a busted speaker. Got 3 hazmat tankers prepped for reload, but if you're out, I'm out, I said. He grunted. Then I'm not sending them. No sign-off, no dice. I'd rather Chase chew me out than bury somebody. Smart call, I told him. Another pause. Then he added, we've had enough explosions in this line of work. Pride don't drive a truck safe. Phone buzzed again. Voicemail from Monica. Her voice sounded like she was rehearsing for someone else. Ron, I really think you should have just gone to the party. You could have apologized, shaken a few hands. It's time to be a man about it. I let it play, then tossed the phone onto the table. Let it sit there buzzing like a fly in a jar. Be a man. I'm keeping $10 million of seafood from rotting and drivers from running hazmat blind. I'm making sure nobody's kid gets the midnight knock from a state trooper. If that's not being a man, then her definition's the kind that wears boat shoes and toasts at sunset. I grabbed a refill and flipped to a fresh page in the notepad. More dots were freezing, and they were going to feel it. I flipped the page on my notepad, and instead of listing more failures at North Star, I wrote one name at the top, Victor Ramos. He'd been calling every 6 months since 2014, trying to poach me. Titan Logistics, aggressive mid-size firm, tech forward, but not stupid about the old ways. I never bit. I wasn't ready. Now I was. I dialed. Victor, I'm free. 10 minutes later, a black Escalade pulled into the lot like I was royalty instead of a guy who smelled like fryer oil and truck stop bleach. Driver hopped out, held the door open like we were headed to prom. I slid in, not saying a word. He took me downtown, straight to some steakhouse where the valet uniforms probably cost more than my boots. Inside, it was all leather booths and chandeliers, the kind of place where the water costs $9 and they act like they're doing you a favor. Victor stood when I walked in, pinstripe suit, silver cufflinks, smile like a poker player with a winning hand. "Ron Hale," he said, like he was greeting a senator. "About damn time." We shook hands, sat down. Waiter dropped a menu, but I didn't bother. He leaned in. "So, what do you want?" "Not a title," I said. "Autonomy, a strategic accounts unit that I run top to bottom. No vibe consultants, no aura directors, no interference." He nodded once. "I want vendor setup authority day one," I continued. "I want to move Savannah volume without waiting on some guy in branding to approve a color scheme. I want Midwest line haul pre-cleared for fast ramp. I bring in ops chiefs who don't flinch." Victor poured himself a glass of water like he had all night, but I could see him doing math behind his eyes. "Can you deliver?" "If I say Savannah's senior ops chief follows me, he follows me. I get you half the volume of North Star within 2 days. I say move, they move." He set the glass down. 22% bump over your last salary. Lean team. You report to me, nobody else. "Add a clause," I said. "If I tell accounting to pay the extra to get a driver home for a kid's recital, we pay it. No back talk." He cracked a smile. "You're going to be expensive. I'm going to make you rich." He leaned back. Drafted. While the ribeye sizzled on his plate, my phone buzzed with notifications, industry blogs lighting up. North Star experiencing widespread dispatch disruption. Key vendor accounts unresponsive amid transition. I didn't smile, not yet. But the napkin was already in front of him. I pulled a pen from my shirt pocket, clicked it once, and wrote out the basics of the deal in bullet points. I watched him read each line, slow. He signed it with a steak knife tucked in his fist like a chisel. "Legal will polish it, but this is the real contract." We shook again. "I'm bringing brokers, terminals, carriers, drivers. The little guys who actually make freight move," I told him. "We don't need a mission statement. We need load boards and working phones." He stood. "You bring them, I'll clear the path." We walked out past the suited waiters and coat racks and into the cold air. My boots hit the sidewalk like they were home again. I didn't gloat. Yet. But that storm rolling over North Star, I'd built it. The DOT alert hit my phone like a punch to the gut. Northbound I-76 in Pennsylvania. Tanker jackknifed, solvent across 2 lanes. I stared at the screen, already knowing what it meant before the details loaded. I felt my stomach drop anyway. Red called 2 seconds later. "Not my men, Ron." "Say it," I said. "Kid from an app, no hazmat endorsement. Chase pushed it to save time." "Driver alive?" "Yeah, shaken. Everybody else gets a lifetime of paperwork and fines." I closed my eyes for half a beat, then opened them. "Lock it down," I said. "Don't let anyone spin this." "I won't," Red said. "This one's on him." Click. I didn't wait. I drove straight to a storage unit off the bypass, the kind with rusted roll-up doors and numbers painted crooked. North Star kept old files there because nobody wanted to pay for digitizing the boring stuff. I still had a key. The unit smelled like dust and oil. I flipped on the bare bulb and went right to the metal shelf labeled Safety Indemnity 2016. I pulled the binders, thick and ugly, corners chewed from years of handling. I knew where to look. Section tabs, signatures, transition protocols. There it was, clear as day. Operational liability during executive transition, gaps pinned to the acting CEO. I flipped pages, checked dates, made sure nothing had been updated out of existence. The roll-up rattled behind me. Arnie Pike stood there, company counsel, tie loosened, eyes tired. No threats, no bluster. Just a man who knew the ground was gone. "Dots on site," he said. Servers seized. Boards panicking. I didn't look up. "They should." He cleared his throat. "We'd like to offer a settlement, quiet things down, smooth the messaging." "I didn't break anything," I said, still flipping pages. I stopped holding it together. He exhaled through his nose. "Clause 9C ties my hands." "It was written that way on purpose," I said. We stood there listening to traffic hum past the unit. A normal day happening outside while a company cracked open. "This is going federal," he said. "I know," I said. "That's why I'm here." He leaned against the doorframe. "What do you want, Ron?" "I want the innocent insulated," I said. "Drivers, dock workers, anyone who followed orders thinking somebody above them knew better." He nodded once. "I can work with that." I pulled my phone out, snapped photos of the pages I needed. No theatrics, no speeches, just proof. Arnie watched me do it. "You always were thorough." "That's why nobody died before today," I said. I packed the binders back exactly where I found them, slid the shelf into place, killed the light. At the door, Arnie stopped me. "You could have taken the settlement." I met his eyes. "I already took my hands off the wheel. That's enough." I stepped out into the sun, locked the unit, and dropped the key into my pocket. Then I walked to my truck and started the engine, already dialing the next number that needed to know what was coming. I parked by the chain link at the edge of the county airfield, engine idling, heater spitting warm air that still smelled like stale coffee. Overhead, the sky looked bruised, gray and purple like a fist under skin. I watched the Gulf Stream drop through it like a hot knife. Landing gear screeched. Plane rolled to a stop near the tarmac's edge. Door dropped. There he was, Gerald Lang, stomping down the stairs in a windbreaker and steel gray hair whipped sideways. 2 phones to his ears, yelling into both like he could bend the world back with volume. No chauffeur, no Suburban, no suit. Just me, waiting in a dented F-150 with 210,000 miles on it and half a tank of regular. I gave one honk. He looked over, squinted, didn't wave, just muttered something into both phones, pocketed one, and started stomping my way. He yanked open the passenger door. "You couldn't rent a Lincoln?" he barked. "You want leather seats or the truth?" I said. "Buckle up." He slid in, slammed the door. "You're a goddamn ungrateful. Buckle up!" He clicked the belt, jaw clenched. I pulled out slow, hit the gravel, and got on the road without another word. The tires hummed. The silence didn't last. "What the hell did you do to my company?" he snapped. "Your son fired night crews," I said. "Brought in a brand wizard, hired a scab with no hazmat cert, and now EPA's circling your cash like buzzards." He shifted in the seat like the belt got tighter. "I've got reserves." "Negligence ain't cheap, Gerald." He looked out the window. "You didn't have to burn the place down." "I didn't," I said. "I stopped holding the matches while your boy danced in gasoline." He didn't respond, just ran a hand through his hair, then tapped his fingers on his thigh like he was thinking too fast to speak. "You want your job back?" he finally asked. "With a raise, name it." I shook my head. "Signed with Titan 2 days ago. Autonomy, vendor control, direct line to Ramos." He looked at me sideways. "Traitor." "No, I built the trust that kept your drivers from walking and your brokers from jumping. That trust moves with me, not your logo." He let out one laugh, bitter, hard. "You always did right things too tight." "You signed Clause 9C, I reminded him. "I thought it was overkill," he said. "Now it's the only thing keeping your board from prison." We rolled through the industrial district, forklifts in the distance, old loading bays, rusted fences, and trucks still idling on hope. "Where do you want to go?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "Drop me at the warehouse, Dock 3. That's my throne, not the damn boardroom." I pulled up to the curb. Brake squealed. Gear shift clunked. He reached for the door handle. "Wait," he paused. "You're going to pay those drivers every cent they're owed," I said. "Warehouse staff too. Overtime, holiday, everything. If even one invoice goes dark, I'll strip North Star to studs and sell the copper myself." He stared at the windshield, then grunted. "Understood." He stepped out. Didn't slam the door, didn't look back, just walked toward that dock like he'd never left it. I watched him disappear into the shadows of his own making. Then, I put the truck in drive and left him there. By noon the next day, Titan's legal team turned my steakhouse napkin into a 48-page packet. Everything was there: titles, clauses, insurance terms, NDAs. But the part that mattered: Director, Strategic Accounts, Autonomy Charter, Appendix A. I signed it with a ballpoint. No champagne, no toasts. Just a work phone, a burner laptop, and vendor forms already waiting for my initials. I got to work. By late afternoon, I had roughly 55% of Northstar's active freight volume rerouted under Titan codes: Savannah reefer lanes, Newark cold storage, Houston tank farm shipments. Most of it moved before Chase even knew what hit him. Little carriers started calling me, one after another. Guys who'd been chasing 30-day payouts for 90 days. "Ron," one of them said, "Titan's codes actually go through. Appreciate you." "You'll get paid," I said. "On time, every time." Around dusk, word hit the ops line. Gerald fired Chase. Clean sweep. Rumor was he didn't even get to pack up his desk. Just walked out with a laptop and a red face. That should have been the end of it. Then my phone buzzed. Monica. "You're embarrassing the family. Todd says your name's all over LinkedIn. You're making a scene. Just apologize, Ron. Salvage the golf invites." I let it sit. Didn't reply. 5 minutes later, Northstar's entire staff got a mass email from Chase. Subject line: clarifying the situation. I opened it. 4 paragraphs of grammatical chaos. He called me a traitor, washed up. Said I sabotaged innovation with old world fear. Spelled strategic wrong twice. And attached, by mistake, a spreadsheet. I opened it, couldn't believe it. Tessa's consulting payments, Botox clinics, digital retreats, a sound bath experience in Sedona. But the kicker? Some of it was drawn from a pension sub-account. That was the nail. I forwarded the whole mess to Arnie Pike with one line: "You might want to read the attachment." 33 minutes later, 2 squad cars pulled up to Ember and Oak, that trendy downtown spot where Chase used to peacock with whiskey flights and startup bros. I was parked across the street in my F-150, coffee in hand, windows down. Watched the cops step inside, clean and quiet. Took 5 minutes, then out comes Chase in cuffs, red-faced, barking his title at the sidewalk like it meant something. "Do you know who I am?" he shouted. Nobody answered. Someone inside kept eating like nothing was happening. Dr. Guy leaned on the velvet rope, turned to the crowd, and said, "Happens more than you think." That line stuck with me. I finished my coffee, shifted into drive, and pulled away. Didn't need to watch the rest. Chase had finally learned what happens when you run a machine on fumes and buzzwords, and I was already busy building one that worked. The call came just after 11. I was still in the truck, parked behind Titan's satellite office, eating a cold sandwich from a vending machine. Gerald's name lit up the screen. I answered without a greeting. His voice came through cracked and raw. "They froze the accounts, Ron. Pensions are at risk. DOT's circling with paperwork and clipboards. I've got 3 agencies calling me, asking who's responsible for the chain of custody gap. You know what they mean." "Yeah," I said. "You can fix this?" he asked, almost a whisper. I took a breath. "Titan buys Northstar. $2. $2? He rasped. "That's theft." "It's mercy," I said. "You get a clean exit. Titan assumes pension liability, keeps payroll intact for the rank and file, keeps the trucks moving under new decals. I'm not here to save a name. I'm saving people." He was quiet long enough I thought the call dropped. Then, "Victor won't go for it." "He might," I said, "if he hears it right." I hung up, wiped my hands on my jeans, and called Victor. He picked up on the second ring. "This late? Better be good." "It's a fleet for the price of a soda," I said. "Fully equipped, routes mapped, drivers trained. Their pensions are the ticket. We buy that loyalty. We win the lanes, the contracts, the ports." "You want me to buy a flaming wreck," he said. "I want you to buy the one piece no one else has: trust." He didn't talk for 20 seconds. Then, "Draft it." The next 72 hours moved like a knife through warm butter. Titan Legal drew up the asset transfer. $2 on the cover page, like a joke no one was allowed to laugh at. Pension obligations, absorbed. DOT fines, pre-negotiated on a staggered schedule. Facility inspections, rolling, not punitive. We posted a 90-day guarantee on wages. Every driver and warehouse worker got a call, not an email. Immediate interviews. Retention bonuses wired in full, not promised in Q3. Red sent a flower stand to the office. Stood 5 feet tall, took 2 interns to move it. Card taped to the stem. When you say roll, we roll. I set it in the hallway. Left the card on it for everyone to read. That afternoon, Monica pulled into my rental driveway in her mother's Lexus. She got out holding a casserole dish like it was a peace offering. "I heard from Todd," she said. "He thinks you got lucky." "Did I?" I asked. She shrugged. "Well, you're not in jail. You've got a new job. Maybe you should be a little more grateful." I didn't answer. She set the dish down on the hood of her car. "Mom says we should take a trip, reset, get back to normal." "I'm getting a short lease near the port," I said. "Works here now." She blinked. "You're... what?" "Staying with Titan, setting up something real." She didn't raise her voice, just stared at me for a second, then said, "Maybe we need space." "I think we already have it," I said. She got in the car, didn't take the casserole. I brought it inside. Ate half of it cold, standing at the counter, watching driver applications roll in by the dozen. People don't follow logos. They follow someone who keeps promises. 3 weeks later, I had a corner office with a view of cranes and open water. First time in 30 years, I wasn't staring at drywall and humming fluorescence. The desk was clear. No files, no stacks, no chaos. Just a black coffee, a notebook, and a screen that showed every tractor, container, and reefer I was responsible for. Titan had slapped new decals over North Star's old reefers. Clean, simple, no fake slogans. Just a name people could trust again. First pension deposits hit on a Thursday. I didn't announce it, didn't send a press release. Red sent a photo. Retired driver, holding a spinning reel and a bag of tackle outside a Bass Pro. Caption said, "You did that." I printed it and pinned it to the wall next to the window. Next day, envelope shows up. Cheap pink stationery that looked like it belonged to a bridal shower, not a grown man. Handwritten, slanted like he was mad the whole time. "You're just a cog now. Hope you enjoy dying in a cubicle. Chase." I fed it straight into the shredder. No speech, no noise. Mid-morning, Victor called. "Low water squeeze at the canal. We're getting bounced on draft weight. I need a reroute through Long Beach and some short sea to Tampa." I didn't hesitate. "I'll have options in 15. Fix in 90. Hung up, grabbed the notepad. Drafted a lane shuffle from Savannah eastbound through intermodal rail. Rerouted perishables to LA for short sea down the Gulf. Pushed overflow containers to CSX. Then I called 2 drayage owners I'd trusted since '09. "Can you run doubles and burn overtime?" I asked. Both said yes before I got to the rate. Slid a small premium to keep it clean. No haggling, no pushback. They rolled. The route map on my screen went from red and frozen to yellow, then green, like blood coming back to a limb. I stood, coffee in hand, looked out across the port. Then I took a picture. Sun low, trucks lined up, lights steady, movement constant. Texted it to Gerald. 3 words. "Folks are paid," he replied 5 minutes later. "Just a period. Good enough."